Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to some PvP action in Star Citizen's Alpha 3.7 PTU. So today I'm rocking the Vanguard Warden with the size 2 fixed ballistic nose cannons, 4 of them, and the size 4 gimbaled Rhino ballistic cannon. So let's see what we can do to this Hornet and this Vanguard Harbinger. So generally you can see that I try to avoid using missiles unless the situation becomes very dire. It's not particularly easy to avoid missiles with a ship as big as this. But at the same time, the shields and hull are tanky enough that you can take a few hits and come out of it okay. So you can see I'm trying to get myself in a dominant position here. The ideal position in dogfighting being where you can hit your enemy and they can't hit you back. Right now, it's difficult against a ship with very similar maneuverability to get into that position. But right now you can see I'm in that position, it's gone. But generally, you can try to maneuver in such a way that the target stays within your firing arcs, but you are just outside of theirs. Haven't taken too many hits from him, besides the missiles in the beginning. So right there you saw I had a good position. Generally, the closer you are to them, the easier it is to maintain, but alright, so now it should be much easier to maintain that dominant fighting position, now that he's less maneuverable with only half of his nacelles. And now you can see it's much easier for me to stay out of his firing arc. And you see somebody else flying around there, around SPK in the background. And now he's just gonna drift aimlessly, so I'll spare you the boredom of me trying to fight with the aim assist. Alright, so next fight is against this Freelancer Miss variant. And right away I could see by those purple projectiles that he's probably using neutron repeaters. I believe the Freelancer rocks size 3s. 4 size 3s in total, all of them gimbaled. So you could see in this fight, he's in a less maneuverable ship than me, so it's relatively easy for me to stay out of his firing arcs. And he got me with a missile there, but one of the other things that's important to do is you want to avoid being targeted by his missiles, and if you're outside of his screen view, then that's much easier to do. But by this point, I imagine that he's hit me with a good chunk of his payload. And now he's doing that infamous decoupled reverse strafe that the freelancers are so well known to do. And good fight. So next fight is against another Vanguard Harbinger. So I happen to be jumping towards Daymar, and I pick this individual up on my radar. I'm gonna get a few cheap shots off here. And he's a little slow to react. But there we go. So I'm not doing a great job of keeping tight on him and staying out of the firing arcs, but here we go. I'm giving it a try here. And seems to be succeeding. Now, one thing I do have to say, I know that the Vanguard lineup now has the option of having some automatic weapons instead of the size 2 cannons. Me personally, I'll give them some more thorough testing, but in the past, I've always preferred cannons as a fixed weapon because the nature of flying in a fixed manner is you're not going to be able to stay on target for a huge amount of time, and there he decided to just give up on life and die. But yeah, the nature of fixed weapons is if you're using cannons, you only have to be on target for a split second to deal a good amount of damage. And this will surprisingly be my most difficult fight. When you got a freelancer miss flying around PO looking for fights, then you gotta be on your guard. And you can see he's using these ballistic scatter guns. They are doing a massive amount of damage, and to some extent it discourages me from doing my usual tactic of getting very close. The closer I get, the more of those projectiles I take, and the damage increases significantly. But, I mean, same principle could apply. Stay out of his firing arcs, but you could see I was almost, perpendicular to him, and I was still taking a lot of damage from those, from getting clipped by those shotgun blasts. Or, some desync may have been happening there that made it look like I was, more off-angle to him than I really was. But either way, that sort of strategy doesn't seem to be working against this scattergun loadout. And he hit me with a few missiles, but nothing that I couldn't take. And now I'm trying to, as you can see, I've been playing around with maintaining my distance a bit. But then, unfortunately, I'm still taking hits from him, and it becomes a matter of who can deal more damage farther away. And quite frankly, the fight is not very interesting if we're just circle strafing each other like that. And regardless, I'm taking quite a beating. Alright, so that is the position I want to be in, but he is pretty smart about getting out of it. So you could see that he starts reversing because he saw I was on his tail. So he doesn't make it easy for me. He knows what I'm trying to do, and he's making sure that I don't accomplish it. So still taking a real beating. My shields are taking a beating now, and now I'm taking damage to a potentially lethal area of the ship. I could lose the nacelle no problem. If I lose that, you know, central chassis, then that's gonna be an issue. Alright, so now I lose my nacelle. Yeah, now is my active desperation, and I'm gonna break out the missiles. Hit him with everything I had. I don't know what missiles those are, just the stock ones. I personally prefer Rattlers, but I think they did the job, and now my new tactic is I'm just gonna duke it out. I don't think I have the acceleration anymore to maintain or attempt to maintain a position of dominance, so now my strategy is shoot him as many times as possible and try to deal more damage than he does to me. And miraculously, that worked. Thanks for joining me.